Hanish, The Story of the Harp by Nicolas Carter. Early in the morning, before his father and mother were awake, Hanish liked to tiptoe outside to greet the sun and to listen to the sounds of the morning. Hanish loved sounds. He listened to the long grass swaying from side to side, whispering to the open sky. He listened to Mama Bird teaching her babies how to sing love songs. Doo-doo, 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 sang Mother Bird. Doo-doo, 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 sang baby birds. Hanish listened and danced to the rhythm of the water flowing between the rocks. Among the flowers he listened to the flight of the bees. One day, he climbed a tree to listen to the branches harmonizing with the wind and the chorus of leaves gently brushing towards and away from one another. Suddenly, he heard the deep voice of his father calling him. "Hanish, come down. I have a surprise for you." When Hanish returned home, his father and his brothers were waiting. They each held a bow and a quiver of arrows. "Today is a special day," Hanish's father said. He handed Hanish a small bow and arrow just his size. "When I was your age, Hanish, my father took me hunting for the first time. Now I will teach you everything I know, and someday you will become a great hunter like your father and grandfather." Hanish held the bow and arrows in his hand. He looked at his father smiling proudly at him. But suddenly he was filled with sadness. Hanish did not want to hunt. Hanish looked over at his mother, who nursed his baby sister. She nodded encouragingly. Hanish wanted to cry, but instead gripped the bow and arrow firmly in his hands and followed his older brothers and his father out of the village. The dirt path led them through the hills and forests to the banks of a river, where they hid behind the trees and waited. Within minutes, a deer appeared. "Prepare your arrows," whispered Hanish's father. The children obeyed. Hanish's father had the largest bow and was the first to release his arrow. Pluk! A deep sound echoed throughout the forest. The eldest son released his arrow. Plack! It made a slightly higher sound. Then the second eldest son released his arrow. Pluk! The sounds of the arrows being released were so beautiful that Hanish forgot about the hunt. Curious to discover what sound his bow could make, he did as his father and brothers had done. He arched the bow and let go of the arrow. Blick! His bow made the highest sound of all. At the end of the day, they came home carrying a deer on their shoulders. Hanish was exhausted and went straight to bed. That night, he dreamed that instead of hunting for a deer, He was hunting for a melody. His bow had 7 strings, like the 7 colors of the rainbow: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. And each string had its own pitch. The next morning, Hanish was determined to find the melody of his dream. When his mother arrived to help him prepare for the day's hunt, he told his mother of his dream. The mother was silent as she listened, and after a careful pause, she said, "Hanish, I want to help you." In a whisper, she continued, "Go to your bed and pretend you're sick. When it is silent and everyone is away, you may begin." Hanish did as she said. He heard the footsteps of his father and his brothers as they approached. "Where is Hanish?" asked his father. "He's not feeling well," responded his mother calmly. "He needs to rest." The men left, and Hanish waited until it was silent. When the house was empty, Hanish seized his bow from under the bed, attached several strings to it, and headed into the forest. He lifted his bow high and plucked the strings. Note by note, he created his first song. That night he shared his song with the moon, and the melody poured into the homes of the sleeping villagers. Soon, Hanish was surrounded by friends and family. "Hanish, what do you have there in your hands?" asked his father. "It is a harp," Hanish said. "It came from a dream." It was quiet. The villagers were waiting to hear more. Hanish began to play his song, and he was happy. The people listening were happy too. Hanish spent the rest of his days making harps and playing music. He traveled far and wide, performing in front of kings, merchants, beggars, and the sick. He performed in front of large crowds and for lonely strangers. One day, Hanish was playing and a little girl appeared. As she listened, she beamed like a flower in bloom. Hanish looked at the girl and recognized something special. "This harp is for you. I will teach you everything I know," he said. In this way, the tradition of playing harp spread and continued from one musician to the next. Now, there are harps all over the world. They're built in many sizes and colors, but have one thing in common. They were born from a dream to inspire melodies that remind people to listen to their hearts. If you look carefully, you will notice that the harp has the shape of a heart.